All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
I'm Wish TV government reporter Garrett Bergquist. Nearly a dozen candidates are running in the Republican primary for Indiana's 5th congressional district. That's Congresswoman Victoria Spartz's seat. It was an open seat until she decided at the last minute that she was going to run for another term after all. One of the candidates challenging her is businessman Lonnie Powell. He goes by LD. He told me his reason for running is a little different from most people's. With us now is LD Powell. LD, thanks for coming by today.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So why are you running for Congress?
Good question. I think my why is kind of the big differentiator for me from some of the other candidates. I think if you would line us all up, we would probably all fall into that kind of conservative Republican column. So it's my why, I think, that really makes the difference. And for me, it comes out of an experience that I had about 20 years ago. I'd entered the hospital for pancreatitis. I had a gallstone get stuck in a pancreatic duct. I'm put in the hospital. They put me on painkillers. I developed pneumonia. 10 days later, I come out, one problem solved and another started. And that was an addiction. And unfortunately, a lot of folks have experienced similar. You know, our medical system has been prescribing opioids and other painkillers for years, not really understanding kind of some of the side effects. And I experienced one of those, and that was an addiction to opioids afterwards. So I tried to stop on my own, kind of just thinking, you know, why can't I just stop this? You know, it's just a decision, and failed miserably. And eventually surrendered to the fact that I needed help, and I entered into Fairbanks Hospital here in Indianapolis. And that opened my eyes to a whole new world. I sat in there with CEOs of billion-dollar companies, grandmothers, teenagers, inner-city people, and I got exposed to this whole dynamic going on in our culture right now around an addiction to prescribed drugs and then also unprescribed. And so for the last 18 years, I've been involved in the recovery community, firsthand, helping others get clean and sober, working my own recovery, but yet I'm seeing the damage just pile up. The rooms keep filling up. It's not getting better. And so when I heard that Victoria was not running for re-election, I felt a prompting to think about running and trying to make a difference at a federal level. And by that I mean stopping the flow of drugs into our country. We'll never have enough recovery rooms and never have enough recovery hospitals to clean up the damage that's being done if we continue to allow our borders to be wide open. So for me, it's very personal. I mean, this addiction nearly killed me. It's killed friends. It's killed children of friends. And it has got to stop. And somebody's got to do something. And so, you know, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? It's kind of the classical question, but I feel it deep in my bones and in my heart that I want to make a difference and see this damage come to an end or slow down at the very least. We won't survive as a country unless this changes.
Before we get into the issues, I want to note this was an open seat, as you alluded to, until Congresswoman Victoria Spartz announced at the beginning of the week that she would run for another term after all. What was your reaction when you heard about that?
I was surprised. I thought she'd made her mind up and that she, you know, was going to move on to a different direction. But my reasons for running haven't changed. And I'm as committed as I was the day I announced that I'm running. So I'm still in this race. I still think my message is important and my reason for running is valid. And I'm still as passionate as I was. So, I love our democracy and the marketplace of ideas. If she is coming back with some fresh thoughts and ideas, let's hear it. I trust the voters to decide.
The House this week failed to approve articles of impeachment against Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, and then it failed to approve an aid package for Israel. How would you have voted on those two issues?
I would have voted to impeach. I mean, it is an absolute travesty of what's going on at our border and a dereliction of duty. And we need to take action on that. So I would have voted to impeach. Aid package to Israel, I stand with Israel. I'm for clean bills. Let's not bundle these things all up or load them up with all the pork. That kind of slows things down, and folks kind of do all this stuff that's not germane to what we're trying to do. So let's get a clean bill. Let's vote straight up and down on Israel aid package. And Israel's a good friend, a good ally, and we need to support them.
Let's go ahead and turn to some of the issues. And you brought up the issue of addiction specifically. You say on your website that you want to go to war with the drug cartels. What in practice would that look like?
So we can apply pressure on the governments that are, let's say, not stepping up to their responsibility to help with this. There's trade issues. We have the ability to leverage our trade agreements to make it unprofitable or extremely costly to raise the cost of Mexico and China aiding and abetting, or at the very best, just turning a blind eye to this. So that's one place we can apply pressure. Secondly, putting law enforcement back on the border, working on stopping people from coming in instead of helping them to come in. Catch and release, let's catch and return. And let's put the right resources in place to stop the flow of bad people coming into our country as well. And then thirdly, we have to put law enforcement on the street in our country to deal with the dealers. And the penalties for dealing need to be severe. Potentially murder, second degree, first degree. I mean, these drugs are killing people. So I don't see a difference in someone coming up and shooting you with a gun or giving you a lethal dose of fentanyl. There needs to be severe consequences. I don't see those anymore.
Speaking of the border issue, we also had the border deal that collapsed in Congress this week. How would you approach border security in particular, and particularly as it interplays with the drug issue we just discussed?
So, from my understanding, we have enough laws already. They're just not being enforced. Namely, Biden reversed Trump's catch and return policy. He can turn that around today, right now. He can reverse that policy and start returning people back to their country of origin. So I don't think we need new laws. I think it's gamesmanship. I think we need to enforce the laws that we have on the book. Let's start with that. We have passed tons of laws. So it's a matter of will. It's not a matter of we don't have enough laws. Right now, I think the Democrats want the votes, so they're allowing people in. They want to give them amnesty. They want to give them voter ID cards, and they want the votes. Unfortunately, on my side of the aisle, Republicans, there are some that want low-wage labor. And, that's a shame as well. There are people being exploited. There are children being exploited, being put to work in areas of the country that, they're going unsupervised, and they're being exploited. So, I don't think the Republicans' hands are totally clean on this as well.
I want to turn to a couple of other positions you noted on your website. You said that you would promote fair trade deals. What would those look like? How do you define a fair trade deal?
Fair trade deal is, in the case of China or Mexico raising tariffs on our goods, and then we're not allowed to raise tariffs on their goods. So it's not a situation where they are allowed to raise tariffs on our goods. So in China, if you want to send cars or product to them, they will unilaterally put a tariff on it. And that reduces competitiveness for our products. So I think Trump had the right approach. You raise tariffs, we're going to raise tariffs. It's going to be a level playing field, or we'll play hardball. So that would be my approach to trade deals.
You've also called for pro-life legislation. Does that mean that you would support a nationwide abortion ban?
Well, Roe v. Wade has been decided, overturned, and now it's back to the states. And I think that's exactly where it belongs, in the states' hands. Now, I'm pro-life. I'm a child of a single mom who had a choice. She chose to have a child, and I'm grateful for that decision. So I'm biased towards pro-life. Also, from my Christian faith, I also believe that every life is a gift of God. And I would be for helping single mothers or women who are going through a pregnancy to find an alternative to such a permanent decision as an abortion. There are people waiting in line for adoption, and we could find ways for the government to help facilitate that. So, yeah, I'm pro-life.
What's one issue you think is not getting enough attention in this race right now?
Well, I think the border is getting attention, and I think it's because of the election. But I think that once the election's over, I fear that attention's going to go away. We're going to go back to status quo. So that's where I think I bring a difference. I'm coming with this passion, this 18 years of experience. It is the issue for me. So I don't know about other issues not getting the attention that they deserve, but I'm glad this one's getting the attention. My fears it will fade into memory once the election's over, but I'm going to go to Washington to make sure that doesn't happen. Any legislation that's affecting the border, our nation's security, for me, will be tied to my commitment to make sure that our borders are secure, our cities are secure, our families are secure. That's the preeminent issue to me. Without that security, without our borders, our nation is at risk.
This is a pretty crowded primary now. What sets you apart from the rest of the field?
I go back to my experience, my life experience. I've been a lifelong Republican, a businessman, been a successful businessman. I've worked for companies, I've owned companies. But it's that life experience, that struggle, that setback with that experience with Fairbanks Hospital and going into this whole world of recovery. I see firsthand the damage being done to our people, our precious people. And that is what I'm passionate about, is protecting our people. And that starts with protecting our borders. So that life experience sets me apart. I'm not your standard candidate who's had one success after another and just had this glowing, perfect resume. I have this experience as part of my story. But I think it's uniquely qualified me for the times we're in today in America, where you look around our big cities and it's everywhere. Homelessness, and it's tied to drug addiction, quite a bit of that. There's mental health issues as well tied to that. And I have that sensitivity, I have that perspective, and I think that's what America needs today, is someone who can come in and make the American government work again for the American people first. Let's take care of our own people. And these people are redeemable with the right resources. And there's been some legislation going on that I would like to help maybe adjust or implement that would allow us to get back in and roll up our sleeves and start helping our American people first and get them back into a healthy position and then back into the economy.
LD Powell, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was LD Powell. He's running in the Republican primary for Indiana's 5th Congressional District. You have until April 8th to register to vote if you want to cast a ballot in the primary. Early voting runs from April 9th to May 6th, and the primary itself is on May 7th. I'm Garrett Bergquist. Thanks for listening.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.